Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nate Gilbert. I work here at the University of Louisville, and I'd like to thank you for stopping by for our webcast. Today we have one of our close friends and partners from our financial aid office. His name is Mike Abood, and he's one of the associate directors. Over the next 30 minutes or so, Mike is going to be covering a handful of topics, but they're all related to financing your education. Some of the specific things he's going to go over is the financial aid process, IRS data retrieval, verification, talk a little bit about grants and loans and those types of things and as they relate to the financial aid process. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to Mike and let him give his presentation, and I'll also remind you at 4 o'clock we're having a live chat where there will be admissions staff available to answer any questions that you may have about today's presentation or any other information. Thanks and enjoy the presentation.
Hi there. As Nate said, my name is Mike Abood. I'm the Associate Director for Financial Aid here at the University of Louisville. So just to kind of jump right on in, just a general overview of the objectives we're going to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about what you need to do when you're completing your financial aid application, the timelines you need to be aware of, as well as a little bit about the tuition amounts and payment plans that we offer here at the University of Louisville, and some resources that may be available to you beyond just this presentation. So that's kind of an overview of what we're going to be talking about. In terms of receiving financial aid, hopefully at this point in time, you've already completed your FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. Please make sure that when you're completing a FAFSA, you're going to the link that's presented here on the slide presentation, the FAFSA.gov. Some students, or unfortunately there's some organizations out there that will have you go through a FAFSA.com or a .org. Unfortunately, these sites will charge you $150 to complete a free application. It's important to remember that you file your FAFSA each year after January 1st, and you're allowed to use estimated information. A lot of students or families see that there are questions resolving around your adjusted gross income or your taxes paid and think, well, we can't complete that until closer to April 15th. The fact is that on the first page of the FAFSA, it says that you can use estimated information, and we encourage you to do so. At this point in time, you should have already completed, if you've already completed your FAFSA, you should have begun to receive some communications from our office letting you know that, one, we've downloaded it, but also if there are additional steps that you need to complete, such as the ICER data retrieval or the verification forms, that we're going to put those out on your ULink to-do list. So it's important that you check that to-do list weekly, as well as your email account, because without completing those steps, we can't actually post awards to your account. So the verification form, or excuse me, the ICER data retrieval tool, this is a tool that allows you to download the information from your tax form directly into your FAFSA. This ensures that you're not going to make a mistake about the adjusted gross income, the taxes paid, the number of exemptions in your household. If you completed your IRS taxes, then you should be able to use the data retrieval tool within about 1 to 2 weeks if you filed your taxes electronically. If you file your taxes by paper, meaning that you mail them in, unfortunately the data retrieval tool may not be available until 6 to 8 weeks after you filed your taxes. If you are eligible to use this form, we actually have put that checklist out on your to-do list so that you are aware, as well as that your parents are aware, that they can complete this form or complete this tool and allow us to make sure that we're downloading the information appropriately. To use the data retrieval tool, we actually have these step-by-step instructions on our website. I'm going to walk through them. We also have a video on our website that actually shows you screenshot by screenshot how to use the data retrieval tool. First off, you're going to log back into your original FAFSA, and so hopefully you've kept your password and your PIN number and so forth, but you're going to log back into your FAFSA, go to the section labeled Make a FAFSA Correction, and then you're going to navigate to the financial information. At that point in time, you're going to change your answer from already completed when it asks you what's the status of your IRS tax return, and change that from will file to already completed. At that point in time, it's going to offer you some questions about, do you want to link to the IRS? It's going to appear that you're leaving the FAFSA website, but really what it's doing is it's allowing you to answer the database questions to merge the information together. It will ask you, are you okay leaving the FAFSA site? And you're going to click OK. When you're on the IRS website and you've changed the information, you'll want to make sure that you click the submit button. A lot of students tend to forget to follow the step-by-step instructions or clicking the transfer now. So it's important to make sure that you're taking your time watching the video that shows the screenshots, or just making sure that you're following the directions outlined on the IRS website, and it'll transfer the information into the FAFSA for you. At the end, once you're back on the FAFSA website, you will need to make sure that you re-sign the FAFSA with your PIN number and hit the submit section of the FAFSA so that it sends us the information. There are some common reasons why you're not able to use the data retrieval, such as if your parents or your own marital status has changed after January 2014, if you've amended your taxes from the original forms that were sent electronically, if you marked on the FAFSA or on your taxes that you are married, but you are married filing separate. These are some situations whereby the FAFSA organization, the U.S. Department of Education, and the IRS will not allow you to do the data retrieval tool. If that is the case, you will have to complete or request a tax transcript to submit with your verification forms, but we'll get into that in just a moment. So the verification process. The verification process is essentially the government's way of ensuring the information that you provided to the FAFSA is accurate. Unfortunately, there's some individuals out there who provide false information, so this is the U.S. Department's education way of making sure that accurate information is being provided, and individuals who qualify for the grant funds or the subsidized loan funds, which are interest-free loans, are going to the right individuals. So when you file your FAFSA, it should let you know at the bottom of the student aid report, there should be a comment in there that lets you know that you were selected for this process. Regardless, we're going to email you and let you know that those verification forms are out on your to-do list. What you'll need to do is you'll need to print those verification forms, review the questions being answered, and then sign them, as well as if you're a dependent student, your parents will need to sign them, and then return them to our office. Sometimes these forms can take anywhere between 10 to 15 business days to complete, but the most important thing or the most common error that occurs are students who provide us with incomplete forms or documents that are missing. Some common examples are you'll print the form off and then you'll immediately just assume that that's all you needed to do and send them back into us. Again, 50% of the time we have to send the forms back to you and highlight that you forgot to actually sign the forms. Or if you were not able to complete the data retrieval process, again, this is where you may have to complete or include copies of your W-2s or copies of your tax transcripts. And if these are not included in there, then again, these are incomplete forms and we have to send them back to you and cannot award you until that process is actually complete. To get a tax return transcript, this can be attained a couple of different ways. You can actually go to the IRS website and from there print a tax return transcript. You can call the 1-800 number listed here and ask that they be mailed to you. Sometimes this option can take 7 to 10 business days. But the website, you should be able to print the form directly and have those right then and there. But if you're having trouble, you can call their 1-800 number and they should be able to walk you through that process. So, in terms of actually receiving financial aid, sometime around early April to mid-April, the University of Louisville will begin to put together or complete award packages. This is when we take the U.S. Departments of Education's information together and actually put together who's going to qualify for some of the grant programs, the loan programs, and how much. If you are a incoming first-time freshman, we'll actually send you a paper communication. All other students receive an email communication, but if you're a first-time freshman coming to the university, we'll send you an email as well as a paper communication that shows you these award amounts. On your ULink account, you can accept, reduce, and decline loan amounts. Anything that is free money, such as the grant programs or your scholarship awards, those are automatically accepted for you because we don't want you to make an error and accidentally cancel or reduce your grants or your scholarships. It is important to understand that while the scholarships are accepted on your ULink account, you still have to sign the contract that was sent to you and return that to the admissions office. So just because it means it shows that it's accepted on the ULink account, please make sure to make sure that you're following through all steps that the admissions letter that was sent to you. Again, regarding loans, if we offer you a loan of, for example, $3,500, it does not mean you have to accept a loan for $3,500. You can choose to reduce that down to $2,000 or decline it outright if you don't need the loan. We only want you to borrow what you truly need to cover your balance. Parents, a quick note for you: if the amount that is listed in April does not cover the charges that you anticipate, for example, the tuition charges, the housing charges, the meal plan charges, if between your KEYS award, your scholarship from the university, the grants that we are offering you, and the loans are not enough to cover that balance, and you're not going to pay the balance out of pocket, parents can choose to borrow a Parent Plus loan. And we'll get into a little bit about those here momentarily, but also a word about alternative loans. Many companies right now, because you're signing up for your class ring or your cap and gown, are identifying that you are going to graduate. So they're going to be sending you postcards or letters about applying for alternative loans or outside loans. It's important to note that many of these loans are at higher interest rates than what a student can receive through the Stafford or the Perkins loan process. So just a word of caution: make sure that you are appropriately comparing and contrasting what the university or what the U.S. Department of Education is offering you before you sign up for an alternative or an outside loan. So here's a simple chart that kind of shows you what some of the grants and work-study programs and your KEYS money are available to you that you may eventually see in your award notification letter. You can go to our website, the University of Louisville homepage, and it will provide you more detailed paragraphs or a greater explanation of each of these awards, but let's just run through a quick review. The Pell Grant is kind of considered the cornerstone of the U.S. Department of Education's grant program. When you file a FAFSA, again, you're putting in information about your adjusted gross income, taxes paid, household size, and so forth. And per a pre-designated U.S. Department of Education, Congress-designated mathematical calculation, it automatically will tell a university whether or not you qualify for a Pell Grant. The Pell Grant for 2014-2015 is estimated to range between $605 to $5,730. The SCOG grant is a small grant that is for $400. This is for low-income students close to or at the poverty line, and again, it's worth $400. The CAP grant is actually from the state, not from the federal government. It is an award worth $1,900. It is extremely important for this year as well as future years to understand that if you are a Kentucky resident and you are Pell eligible, that you file your FAFSA as soon as possible after January 1 of each year in order to qualify for the state grant. For example, last year the state funds ran out on February 7th. The state has not given an official date, but they are estimating right now that the funds ran out on February 1st. So it's incredibly important to make sure that you're filing the FAFSA early in the first 2 weeks of January every year using that estimated information. If we designate that you are a Pell Grant eligible student and a Kentucky resident as a continuing student, meaning that you're going to be a sophomore next year, we will actually send you a postcard and probably anywhere between 2 to 3 emails letting you know to file the FAFSA as soon as possible. The work-study funds are an award where it doesn't actually apply to your balance owed to the university. These are funds that you're actually given. So at U of L, we estimate that the maximum award is going to be roughly $3,914. And you find a job on campus, and every 2 weeks you are paid on an hourly rate of $7.50, and that rate may go up next year, but for right now it's $7.50, so the minimum wage standard, and you're paid every 2 weeks on through those funds. The reason that we love work-study funds so much is that retention programs have shown through the university as well as on a national scale that students who participate in the work-study program have a higher retention rate and a higher graduation rate and eventually a higher GPA. And that's because you're networked into campus. I'm not an academic advisor, but if one of my students happens to come and tell me, Mike, I've got a test on Friday, I'm going to let them off for a few hours that week to make sure that they get an A in that test. Or if they're struggling academically, I'm going to walk them over to the academic advising units, the appropriate tutor, and say, hey, can my student get some extra tutoring hours in because they say they need help. So the KEYS money is an award where you really don't have to do anything for it. If you're graduating from a Kentucky high school and the state has designated that you are KEYS eligible, when we send your enrollment file to the state, they're going to automatically send those funds to us. The average award is about $1,600, but a student's award can go up to $2,500, and those awards are based on your high school GPA as well as your ACT bonus. There are some unique cases where a high school may be misreporting the student's name, social, or date of birth to the state. So every year we have about 25 students, so a very small percentage of students that don't receive the KEYS award, but they're confident that they graduated from a Kentucky high school. If you have not been getting KEYS communications from KIA, the state organization, you may want to log in or call their 1-800 number to ensure that they have your right date of birth, social, as well as spelling of your last name. So the loan amounts. So a standard freshman is going to receive $5,500 from the government. $3,500 of this is going to be what's called the subsidized loan, or it's an interest-free loan. The nice thing about the Stafford Loan Program is, and I understand many students or parents are going to, when they hear the word loan, they kind of pull back or say that's not really a grant or a type of financial aid from the government. But these loans are much better than what you can get from most private banking institutions. So a Stafford loan, you're going to receive $3,500 from the subsidized loan account, and then up to $2,000 from the unsubsidized loan account. And the reason that these loans are beneficial or better than most outside loan companies is that the loans don't go into repayment until 6 months after graduation or 6 months after you stop taking classes. So you only owe the principal balance on the subsidized loan portion, and then the principal balance plus the accrued interest over that point in time until you get to graduation, until you stop taking classes. Now, we encourage you to pay on the principal balance while you're in school, but again, repayment is not required until 6 months after graduation or 6 months after you stop taking classes. Parents, again, I mentioned this earlier, but if the balance is not covered by the KEYS money, any other scholarships, grants, or the Stafford loans, parents have the right to take out a parent, what's called a Parent Plus loan, up to the cost of attendance, minus all other aid. The Parent Plus loan, the interest rate has not been assigned for next year. Neither the Stafford or the Parent Plus loan has been assigned for next year. Those amounts, those interest rates will be released sometime on June 30th or July 1st. Right now, the Stafford interest rate is at 3.4%, and the Parent Plus loan is at 6.4%. Again, I mentioned my caution about alternative loans. We do have a website on our homepage that is designated to alternative loans, so you don't have to go out and search for something through a PNC or a Wells Fargo or a Sallie Mae. We've already listed many of those out there, but you have every right to search and find an alternative loan that meets your needs. We've just tried to list about 15 of them on our website for you. If you're going to process an alternative loan, please make sure you are doing your research and understanding what the interest rates, the repayment terms, and the deferment options are for those loans. A quick word about bills. Bills aren't going to be generated until early July, but just so that students begin to understand how that timeline works, after you come through orientation and you've signed up for courses, then sometime in the first week of July, the bursar's office will generate a paper bill. Again, very similar to the awarding process First-time freshmen will receive a one-time paper bill. After that, all bills will be sent via their email account. And again, we want to stress that many of those communications are going to your U of L email account. So if you've got a Yahoo or a Gmail account, again, that's fine, but make sure that when you're doing business with the university that you're looking for or sending those communications from your U of L email account. With regards to payment plans, there are payment plans available through the bursar's office. So for example, if your balance is, and I'm just going to kind of make up some numbers, if your balance for the semester is $5,000 and your financial aid is $3,000, then the payment plan can be set up so that the payments are going from July, August, September, and October for $500 each rather than paying the whole amount in July. There is a $25 processing fee for the payment plans. In terms of when those payment plans are specifically going to be available, they're not posted on the bursar's office right now, but they will be available sometime around May 14th, or excuse me, May 2014. So the chart right here just kind of begins to give you an understanding of the undergraduate direct costs. Please note that these amounts are for 2013-2014. The new rates for fall 2014, spring 2015 will not be set until sometime around April 14th. So just to begin to give you some understanding of a resident balance, you're looking at tuition and fees being approximately $9,750, and this is for a full-time student, so 12 hours or more. Your room rate, again, there's an asterisk there, and if you read through, that's the double room rate for Miller, Stevens, Threcold, Unitas, and Center Hall. So you're looking at your room rate, if you're going to live on campus, being about $47.90. The meal plan, you'll see that if you're a commuter student, that tuition charge on an annual rate is $350 versus if you're an on-campus student is $2,920. And then you have your average cost of books is about $1,000. So the total estimated charge for direct cost for an academic year at U of L is $18,460. It is important to note, again, with these asterisks, that if you are living in a special residence hall like a single, or you're living in Betty Johnson or at one of the affiliated properties, that this room rate and the meal plan rate is going to be a little bit different. But what we're trying to show you here is kind of a undergraduate direct cost for most students. So throughout the website, we've kind of listed several links for you to go to and begin to research some information. But again, I just want to make sure that you have an opportunity to review those. Many of them are available from our home site. If you just type in financial aid from the Louisville.edu home site or the bursar's office, it'll get you to what you're looking for. From our website, pretty much anything you want to know about the financial aid process in terms of the verification, the ICER data retrieval, the different kinds of awards are listed on that site. On the bursar's office site, again, it kind of gives you a review of the tuition amounts, how tuition is calculated, as well as the payment options. And then again, as always, the FAFSA.gov site. Again, please make sure that you're not going to a .com or a .org site. Those are sites that, again, will charge you money for a free application. Right here, just quickly listed is our location. We're located in the Houchins building on campus in room 10. If you email us, that's our email right there, is finaid@louisville.edu. It'll be directed to one of the counselors based on last name. If you do call our office, the main line is 852-5511. And then if you fax anything to our office, it's 852-0182. In terms of office hours, if you do come to our campus and want to walk in and meet with a counselor, we will absolutely handhold you through any of your questions that you have. Just understand that our office hours are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9 until 5. On Thursdays, we are open. However, we're only open from 12:30 to 5 o'clock. So just make sure that if you're going to come to campus early, that it's not going to be on a Thursday. So with that in mind, I hope this kind of presentation gave you a general overview of financial aid. And as always, if you have questions, please make sure that you contact our office, you email our office, and most of the time we're going to be able to respond back to you on the spot if you call us, or within an email within about 24 hours. So with that in mind, thank you very much. So I'm going to let Nate kind of close it out.